Thank you and a very good afternoon to all of you. Since a very large fraction of the people assembled today are the people who are less than 24 hours old as alumni, let me sort of direct my speech or the few thoughts that I want to share primarily towards them. You would have all been at the convocation yesterday, and you'd have heard the really, truly thought-provoking speech by Mr. Nariman. He talked about many things, and those of you who were not there yesterday, I would urge you to get a copy of the speech we printed quite a few and gave it to the students, or I think it's there on the website now. He said many things, but two or three things sort of were, if you go back and listen, were what I would say are the crucial points that he made. One was, he said that it's very good to be clever or smart, but it's not that good to know that you are to be conscious of being clever or smart. The second point he made, is particularly with regard to those of us who might choose to, go elsewhere in the world for very good reasons, study, experience, job, whatever it is. He also stressed the importance of, at some point, and not when you're doddering, but at some point when you still have a lot of energy and strength left, at some point to return to India. And he made a very, very important point there, and it really struck home as far as I was concerned, because I can't think of a truer statement. He said it's not because the country needs you, which country can certainly benefit from what you can do for her or for her people, but more because you need India. And he didn't explain that. I think that's quite rightly so. I also don't want to embark on that, but I really ask you to think about what he might have meant and why he made that statement, which I can assure you is, if something can be more than 100% true, it is so. Why did he make this statement? He's not the first one to have made this statement. You would see this if you go back to the writings, speeches of Swami Vivekananda also, you would see this. So it's not, and he was also not the first. So why did he say this? And think about it and find your own answers. There are many reasons, I think, why this might be so, but you can find your own, the ones that resonate most with you. And the other thing that I'd like you to think about is, now that you're alumni, why should you, or why might you consider it worthwhile to keep your links with other alumni and with the alma mater, with the institute? You also heard the report that I read out on the institute's activities and achievements for the last academic year. I tried very hard to make sure that every sentence that I spoke was based on not only literal truth, but also did not have a gloss on it, that it actually reflected, as far as possible, the true state of affairs. And when doing that and putting it all together, I did notice that net, if you look at the students who are graduating, look at the research that has been done, the efforts of the research scholars, the faculty, the industrial consulting projects that are being taken up, the sponsored projects that are being taken up, the work being done by faculty for important national technology missions. If you look at everything and the achievements in the co-curricular, extracurricular, the sports, I would say not as much in the arts. We should do more in the arts, but whatever it is, whatever we have done, I have reflected in that. net, I would say, it is a place where the positive forces, the positive thoughts are certainly stronger than the negative forces or the negative thoughts. Net, a lot of people here, faculty, staff, students, are going about their business, trying to do the best they can. Thinking less about themselves, though we all think about ourselves quite a bit, and more about the broader, the mission in life, if you want to call it that way, though that sounds grandiose. And so net, it's a, when you add up everything, it's a positive place. So that's one reason why you should stay connected with this institute. It's a place where it is one of those institutions where more good things are happening than bad, and hopefully it will continue to be that way and continue to improve. And you were part of that institution for several years. Maybe you'll come back, some of you, in some form, and be actually a part of it. But at any rate, it's a very good reason for you to remain connected. So that is what I would like to ask you to think about, and convince and ask yourself whether what I'm saying is true, and then think about ways in which you'll remain connected. Those things that matter most to you are the matters on which you should connect. And if sort of technology and research is what matters to you, you remain connected with the faculty who pursue that the best. If it's teaching, the classroom, then you stay connected with teachers and the people in the institute who worry about our pedagogy and so on. If the hostel life, the experiential learning is what mattered to you the most, you stay connected with the faculty and students who are at any point in time, concerned most with that, and so on and so forth. The other point is, why should you remain connected with your batchmates, your seniors, your juniors? So that's a very easier one, because if these are people who came through the same sort of system, if you want to call it that, you entered that and you come out, probably there's a higher resonance with them in terms of what matters to them, and therefore you're likely to find like minds. People, you don't have to explain yourself too much. People probably understand what makes you tick, why something makes you excited or keen to do something, and so on. And so you're likely to find people with whom you can align and who can align with you. So this is the reason why the alumni associations, the alumni meetings are very good. Quite apart from the just fun part of it, just reminiscing and talking about old times and just reliving old experiences or going through them. Apart from that, there is also this much more fundamental reason. So I'd really ask you to think about this. I think we were not very proactive or adept at maintaining these links and relationships from the time we left the institute in earlier days. We usually connected with alumni after several years, if not decades. But I think there's a very good reason to not do that and actually maintain the connection almost on a continual basis, even as you leave the institute. This, I think, so please think about why you might want to remain connected with the institute and with other alumni, both of you definitely from your batch, but also from the ones preceding you and succeeding you. And nowadays people travel a lot. I'm sure many of you will come, even if you leave Chennai, will come back to Chennai for various reasons, much more than people did 20 years ago. So you can also visit the campus, but more than that, you can stay connected just by thinking about the institute quite a lot, and then you have the net and all those stuff anyway. But the real issue is, do you think about it? Does it have a place in your mind? Does it, is it something you are sort of having that one part of your mind looking at it, thinking about it every now and then? It's always there at the back of your mind. That's really the important thing. And one of the, we heard Mr. Chandrasekhar, DC, talk about multiple intelligences. Howard Gardner, of course, is credited with sort of bringing this to the attention of the scholarly world. which he did, and it of course was a reaction to the overemphasis on IQ and IQ tests and so on that was there in the US and the Western world, particularly in the US before his work. But this is not new. I mean, this is known and this was recognized, and actually acted upon quite well in India long ago. Because we have had a disconnect, ever since the colonial, in the entire colonial period, there's been a great disconnect. Our history is not in good shape. We really don't understand what happened. But there is a disconnect. Today in India, definitely we do not, have an environment where children with intelligence other than 1 or 2 can find themselves growing and in a confident way. But that was not always the way it was, and we have to get back. So the real issue is, and this is again Mr. Nariman mentioned yesterday, is that you have to ask yourself, what's India going to be like 40 years from now, 30 years from now, 40 years from now, when you are sort of getting to the point where many of the speakers were speaking today. What's it going to be like? And what it's going to be like is going to be, to a great extent, determined by what people like you are going to do. And, one thing is definite, that nowhere in the world any society has flourished or done well where there is great deprivation and poverty and so on. So that's a no-brainer. We have to do something, and we can't keep messing around like this. We have to do something over the next couple of decades and set this right. We have to get our act together. We have to make sure there is, the basic requirements, decent education, decent, just reason, food, water, your residence and so on. All these are taken care of, housing and so on. And that's no mean task either. That's where this sort of ultimate, looks complicated. You need technology, you need management, you need vision. But ultimately, these are still simpler than figuring out what we are going to do with ourselves after that. Okay, are we going to essentially, do we see ourselves essentially, doing what America did 100 years ago at that time, or Europe did 100 years ago? Or do we actually, figure out a new path, more consistent with the needs of the times, the fact that you really can't, you can't take an unsustainable route, and we have to, how does the world move from where it is now with all the problems associated with overconsumption to a point where it's more sustainable? How do we address that? All these issues are going to be things that many of us, all of us, but many, particularly people of your generation, are going to have to deal with. So what are you going to do? Where is India going? And that's going to be determined by us and by you. And that is, I think about all this in the context of what Mr. Nariman said. And, go also, if you go and read what people have said before, the most thoughtful people we have produced in this country, you may find why Mr. Nariman said yesterday that you need India more than India needing you. So I really, ask you to reflect on his speech, reflect on why you might want to remain connected with the Institute, and why you may want to remain connected with your batchmates, your juniors and your seniors. If you do this, I think, there's a hell of a lot to do. And the other thing he said, if you remember, is never allow yourself to say that there's no time. There's plenty of time. So just, the thing about, one thing you must, as an IIT alumnus or IITian, is that, we totally mustn't let ourselves underestimate what we can do. We just, I believe that even in the 4 years that you've been here, many of us have not really pushed ourselves. I certainly did not push myself when I was a student in the IIT to grow and do as much as I could have. I think he pointed that out too also, and that's very important. You shouldn't fall into the comfort zone. We really underestimate what we are capable of, particularly when we align ourselves with others. The output can be phenomenal, and therefore, the sky is the limit. So don't have any artificial notions about this much is enough or this is all we can do and so on. There is really, I don't think we can even conceive of what is possible But the challenges are enormous. We have to figure out, as I said, how do we, get first to ground zero, which is to get rid of the issues of deprivation, inclusiveness, inequity, and so on, and then move on to then think about where do we want to go and what do we want to do. I reflect on the point he made about India, go and read about what others have said. You may find, I don't have the answers, so I'm not going to tell you this is what it is, that's what, I have some thoughts, but those are just mine. Read yourself and figure out for yourself what he might have meant. So with this I want to conclude. I don't think I want to add anything to in terms of general reporting, because I gave a comprehensive report yesterday on where the institute is today and where we are heading. As a part of the country, the institute also has a lot to do. There's certainly a long way to go in what we offer in the classroom, what we offer in the hostel, and what we do in research and industrial consulting and so on. But as I said, net, we are headed in the positive direction. Thank you very much.